We are a species that gathers. It is a primal, undeniable impulse. We have always sought the company of others, finding strength and meaning not in solitude, but in the collective. Imagine the earliest humans, huddled around a crackling fire, the light pushing back the vast, pressing darkness. In that circle of warmth and flickering shadows, they shared stories, songs, and sustenance. That circle was their first stadium, a temporary arena of community, where individual fears dissolved into a shared sense of safety and belonging. This fundamental need to gather, to witness events together, is the seed from which all great stadiums have grown. Why do we build these colossal structures? The question is not just about architecture, it is about the very nature of our humanity. This instinct to form a circle is woven into our DNA. It is a gesture of inclusion, of shared focus. A gathering creates a pulse, a collective heartbeat that transforms a group of individuals into a singular, living entity. Long ago, in the sun-drenched valleys of ancient Greece, the first true stadiums took shape, carved directly from the earth. They were disarmingly simple in design, yet profound in purpose. Picture a long, flat stretch of land, a stadion. The stadion, the length of a foot race. Natural hillsides provided tiered seating. Grassy banks where people sat. Later, crude stone steps rose from the slope. This was the birthplace of the stadium, born from the landscape itself. Olympia, Delphi, Nemea. The Greeks gathered not for mere entertainment, but for a sacred ritual honoring the gods and human physical potential. The ancient Olympic Games were the heart of this tradition. Every 4 years, a sacred truce was declared across warring city-states. Athletes and spectators traveled to Olympia to take part and to watch. More than sport, a religious festival, a cultural touchstone, a political statement. Athletes were seen as heroes, bodies idealized in sculpture and art. They raced, they jumped, they wrestled, they fought. If the Greeks built their stadiums for sacred sport, the Romans built theirs for brutal spectacle. The Roman Empire perfected the architecture of the crowd. The ultimate expression was the Flavian amphitheater, the Colosseum. Rising from the heart of Rome in the 1st century AD, it was an engineering marvel. Built as a freestanding structure of travertine and concrete, its arched facade became a symbol of the empire. It held over 50,000 Romans, the emperor in his gilded box, common plebeians in the highest tiers. The Colosseum, a theater of life and death. Events in the elliptical arena were meant to awe, entertain, terrify. Gladiators, often slaves or prisoners, fought to the death in single combat or in elaborate group battles. Exotic animals arrived from the empire's reaches. Lions, tigers, elephants, crocodiles, then were hunted in staged venaciones. The Romans could even flood the arena, staging mock naval battles, naumachii, with full-sized ships. The crowd fed on the violence, its cheers and jeers shaping politics and fate. Beneath the sand lay the Hippodrome, the Colosseum's hidden heart. A 2-level subterranean network of tunnels, passages, cells. Gladiators and animals waited there before entry. An elaborate system of elevators, pulleys, trapdoors allowed for dramatic entrances, fighters and beasts appearing from nowhere. That backstage machinery turned the amphitheater into a sophisticated stage, capable of the era's most shocking spectacles. More than entertainment, a political tool. Emperors used games to curry favor, distributing free bread and providing spectacular diversions, bread and circuses. For centuries after the fall of Rome, the Grand Stadium fell into disuse. While people still gathered for folk games, jousting tournaments, and public executions, the monumental architecture of the crowd lay dormant. This all changed with the seismic shift of the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries. This was an era of radical transformation. Cities exploded in size as millions moved from the countryside to work in the new factories and mills. This created a vast, concentrated urban population, a newfound desire for leisure, and a desperate need for community and identity in the anonymous industrial sprawl. The revolution in industry was also a revolution in materials and transportation. For the first time, architects had access to mass-produced iron, steel, large panes of glass. These materials were stronger and more versatile than stone, allowing builders to create structures with vast, unsupported spans, soaring roofs, and improved sightlines for enormous crowds. Railways meant supporters could travel from distant towns and cities to follow their teams. The combination of larger urban populations, new building technologies, and easier travel created a perfect storm. The demand for purpose-built venues for organized sports like football and cricket skyrocketed, and the modern stadium was born from the smoke and steel of this new age. Early industrial-era stadiums were often raw, functional, and dangerously overcrowded. Disasters were tragically common as flimsy wooden stands collapsed and crowd surges led to fatal crushes. These incidents slowly led to a greater understanding of crowd dynamics and the need for rigorous safety standards. Architects and engineers began to focus on issues like ingress and egress, the width of passageways, the strength of barriers, and the provision of clear escape routes. The design of stadiums evolved from a simple exercise in containment to a complex science of crowd management and public safety. This period laid the essential groundwork for the stadiums we know today and cemented the stadium as a vital piece of the urban fabric, a new industrial heartbeat. As the 20th century dawned, stadiums began to evolve from purely functional structures into powerful symbols of national and civic pride. They became the modern cathedrals, sacred grounds where tens of thousands would gather for the weekly ritual of the match. In London, the original Wembley Stadium, built for the 1923 British Empire exhibition, quickly became the spiritual home of English football. Its iconic twin towers were a landmark recognized around the world. Hosting the FA Cup final, there was the ultimate ambition for every club. Wembley was more than a stadium, it was a national stage. Across the Atlantic in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the Estadio Maracanã, constructed for the 1950 FIFA World Cup, was a temple to the beautiful game on an unimaginable scale. With capacity that once swelled to nearly 200,000 people, it was the largest stadium in the world. The Maracana was synonymous with the vibrant, passionate, sometimes heartbreaking story of Brazilian football. The sound of the crowd within its vast concrete bowl was legendary. A deafening symphony of drums, chants, and roars that could intimidate any visiting team. To play at the Maracana was to enter the very soul of football, a place where the game was lived with an unmatched intensity and flair. In Spain, another giant rose to reflect a city's identity. Barcelona's Camp Nou, opened in 1957, became a potent symbol of Catalan culture and resistance during the Franco regime. With a capacity close to 100,000, its motto, Més que un club, more than a club, is physically built into the stadium's seats and its very ethos. The sheer scale of Camp Nou is breathtaking, an immense cauldron of passion. The stadium grew with the club and the city, its successive expansions mirroring their rising fortunes and global influence. It is a fortress of identity, a place where football is inextricably linked with a profound sense of place and people. Meanwhile, in Mexico City, the Estadio Azteca carved out its own legendary status, becoming the first stadium to host two FIFA World Cup finals, 1970-1986. It is a stage where history was not just witnessed, but made. It was on this hallowed turf that Pelé's Brazil team perfected total football, and where Diego Maradona scored both the Hand of God goal and the goal of the century. The Azteca's high altitude, its vibrant, noisy crowds, and its sheer sense of occasion make it a place of myth. No single event has shaped the modern stadium more than the FIFA World Cup. From its inception, the tournament has been a catalyst for architectural ambition and national prestige. Hosting the World Cup means building or renovating stadiums to meet FIFA's exacting standards, turning them into temporary global capitals watched by billions. This relentless cycle of competition has driven an incredible wave of innovation in stadium design and engineering. The demands of a global television audience have profoundly influenced stadium engineering. Perfect, shadow-free lighting for high-definition broadcasts is now a requirement. This has led to the development of complex, translucent roofing materials, like the tensioned membranes seen at Munich's Allianz Arena, Retractable roofs in Dallas, retractable roofs in Amsterdam. These roofs protect fans from the elements, while allowing natural light to nourish the pitch. Engineers have become masters of acoustics, shaping bowls and roof lines to capture and amplify the roar of the crowd, creating the intimidating and exhilarating atmospheres that define the modern game. The science of getting people in and out of a 90,000-seat stadium safely and efficiently is a monumental feat of logistics. Modern stadiums use sophisticated computer models to simulate crowd flow, optimizing concourses, stairways, and exits to prevent bottlenecks and allow rapid evacuation. The result: a seamless experience for the fan. These are smart buildings, integrating massive video screens, Wi-Fi connectivity, and cashless payment systems. So why do we continue to build these monumental places? After 3,000 years, from the grassy banks of Olympia to the climate-controlled arenas of the 21st century, the answer remains fundamentally the same. We build them because we must. We are social creatures who crave shared experiences. A goal, a touchdown, a record-breaking sprint means more when it is witnessed by 100,000 people at once. In that shared moment of collective intake of breath, in the explosive roar that follows, our individual emotions are magnified and transformed into a public memory, a piece of living history. A stadium is a city's most visible landmark and its most emotional one. It is a repository of dreams, a library of memories written not in books, but in cheers and in tears. It is the place a father takes his son for his first game, where friendships are forged in the cold, and where strangers embrace in a moment of shared ecstasy. The bricks and mortar, the steel and glass, are merely the vessel. The true substance of a stadium is the human emotion it contains. It is a theater of shared life, reflecting our triumphs, our failures, our tribal loyalties, and our capacity for collective joy. These structures are mirrors of who we are. They reflect our values, our ambitions, our power. The Colosseum reflected the brutal might of Rome. The Maracana reflects the passionate soul of Brazil. Camp Nou reflects the fierce independence of Catalonia. They show what a society chooses to celebrate and how it chooses to gather. Sometimes they are sites of protest and division, but more often they are our common ground, one of the few places left in a fractured world where people from all walks of life can come together and, for 90 minutes, be part of the same tribe, united by the simple drama unfolding on the pitch below. In the end, stadiums are far more than just buildings. They are the keepers of our stories. The stones remember the roar when a hero was crowned. The lights remember the hush before a decisive penalty kick. The people remember the feeling of belonging, of being part of something bigger than themselves. That is the enduring magic of the stadium. It is not a place we go simply to watch history. It is a place we go to make it, together. And so we will keep building them, seeking that ancient, powerful connection that happens only when we gather in the great human circle